Hi, I'm Jake.
And I'm Marlin.
And we just got back from the cinema. One of the few films that we decided was worth venturing to the theater this year for. And the movie we just saw today was Dune, the new Dune. And because this old bastard is here, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. Doesn't like to get into that stuff. So, without getting into too many spoilers, in terms of quality, would you say that the spice flowed for this film?
In terms of quality, yes. Yes, definitely. Let's be clear to anybody here. I didn't read the book. So I've just been seeing successions of Dune movies. This one brought clarity, and to certain points early on, it was a better way of telling the story, to my mind. But it still left a lot of the mystery, the powers of the Bene Gesserit, Bob, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that kind of interest level is still there and very well presented.
I'm one of the few people that will probably openly say I love the 1984 Dune, and I started reading the book when I was younger, but I never finished it. But I do know enough, and I think this was a pretty well done film. It's directed by, had to write his name down to pronounce, Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
It's hard to pronounce.
Well,
and he's best known as the director of Sicario, Arrival, and Blade Runner 2049, which was my favorite film to see in the cinema of the past decade. And this was a pretty good film visual-wise. Like, he's a very good visual filmmaker.
oh, it was. It was magnificent as far as breadth and scope, and the different machines that they put on screen, and so the CGI aspect of it was just as good as could possibly be, I think.
Yeah, the CGI was pretty impressive, reasonably well made. Like, it was never distracting. And as with Blade Runner 2049, he knows how to make a big, very grand looking film. And just to be clear, this movie, it was just advertised as Dune. It only covers the first half of the story, and it's been verified there is a part 2 in the works that may come out by next year if nothing gets in the way.
Nothing gets in the way.
And the whole movie covers the first act and I guess maybe the second act, maybe half of it. And the best way to describe this film is the whole movie is pretty much build-up. Like, this would normally be the build-up to the more action-packed or epic second and third acts, but they took the first half and they just kept building up the inevitable danger, tragedy, and also setting up for the fighting back, the comeback that'll come later.
Yeah, the resolution of the plight of the Fremen, yes.
Yeah.
And but well done as far as setting that up, and in the scope that they gave is interesting. The who is the bad guys and who's cheating who and who's, it becomes very clear, much clearer than the other movies. I think because this is the first half, I'm assuming it's the half part one, there'll be a part 2 and no more. They've been able to take time to maybe lay that out better. And like I said, it filled in some gaps for me right away.
Yeah, there was no need for the inner narration for this one. And I think if you went into this not knowing the original story, you could enjoy it. There's a few small moments, a few characters that I think weren't as set up as well as in the original, like the Dr. Yui character and his sort of double betrayal with the Duke and then the Baron. That was one part that I think they handled better in the original movie, but other than that I can't really think of anything that really seemed a bit blindsiding.
Well, it was handled shorter, but you got the whole scope of it. They did do that. No, there's
Some characters who I thought were improved on as opposed to the original was the Duncan, Idaho character. That's still a funny name.
yeah.
Played by, in this one, Jason Momoa, Aquaman. He's fun. Like you know, this character is probably not going to have a good fate, but they did a lot with him, and the relationship between him and Paul, I think, was very well established.
Very much, yes.
Like the relationships Paul Atreides has with his father, Duncan, his mother, they were all laid out pretty well, and some scenes that were pretty identical to the original that I think were equally handled pretty well include the scene with the hand where Paul has to put his hand in the box with the
box of pain.
Yeah, operated by the Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And
or head witch, as they kind of referenced her at another point.
Yeah. And some parts of it I thought maybe I preferred in the original, but it was still a well executed scene.
Oh, yes.
And they did a good job, showing just how much pain it caused and how he was able to control himself.
And just through his acting ability, he was able to relay the fact that it was increasing pain. It wasn't just pain.
Timothy Chalamet as Paul. We did some reaction videos to the trailers, and in the first trailer reaction, it became clear we were not familiar with the dude.
Mm-hmm.
But here, I can say, he played this character very well. Like, the thing with this movie is they established the relationships well, but the characters are not overly emotional or shit like that. But they're not blocks of wood either. You can tell, like, Paul, he's got a lot of, inner conflict, a lot of stuff he's going through, but he still comes off as human, I guess, for lack of a better term, and you can see the struggle, I guess.
Well, yes, I think he's that role is being acted very well. He is a young man. He's got a big future ahead of him, and it's weighing heavy on him, and a lot of it is because it's unknown, and he either benefits from or suffers from dreams that I don't know.
Have a bit of a prophecy or future
or
premonition thing.
Yeah, and it continues to bring the mystical aspect of Dune right front and center. I like it.
And the plot, which is very complicated to describe, and even though this film does a good job of laying it out, it's very complicated, so I'm not going to describe it completely, but basically, to put it simply, the Emperor of the Universe gives control of the planet Arrakis, aka Dune, to House Atreides, taking the power away from House Harkonnen, or in this film as they call it, Harkonnen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the pronunciation.
Yeah.
But it turns out all part of a very complicated plan to take out the Atreides because the Emperor sees them as a threat. And after they've been betrayed, Paul and his mother search and start to build, I guess, this will get into the second half.
Yeah.
But it's establishing that they're going to fight back with the Fremen, the natives of Dune, and they had a thing at the beginning talking about how the Fremen, the people of the planet where they harvest the spice, the powerful drug that the universe thrives on, have been oppressed by the people who came before, and Atreides seems like the first people that have come that aren't completely about putting them down, I guess.
And he also gave another, which I'm assuming is a fact from the book that I wasn't particularly aware of. The spice also allows you to go in intergalactic travel.
Yeah.
There is that, and that
like I said, it's hard to remember every detail, but that was a big aspect of the original.
Much huger than the drug and hallucinatory aspect of it.
Plays a big part with the guild navigators, I believe they're called.
We haven't gotten to them yet, but
yep,
coming up.
This film is a bit closer to the original story in the sense that they're not revealing everything right away,
but we are.
Well, we're talking about it, and if there were any cons to give this movie,
Mm-hmm.
would you have any?
I have to think about that. I mean, there were some aspects of the original movie I like. No, not so much. Sometimes the dream sequences aren't as they're not revealing. They reveal the conflict of what the decision making the decision making process that Paul and is under, but they don't necessarily let you know where he's going to take something. So I'm not sure if that's a con, but it sure lends to the mystery because Paul's still his own guy.
The dream sequences were something that I was a little mixed on. I mean, yeah, they help predict a show what's gonna possibly come next, but they were a little confusing. Sometimes they made me lose focus or track of what was going on. And there were some moments where it seemed like they were becoming the film itself, but then they'd go back. And also, this is just a minor con I have. The picture quality of this film is very dark at times, as opposed to the original, which had kind of a bright tone.
Well, I thought the other way around, actually, but okay. I see.
I just found it hard to make out certain things at times. But nonetheless, there was a lot to enjoy in this film. It felt epic. Again, the whole movie is kind of a build-up, but there is a lot going on. It's not just this and explaining. They have a lot of impressive sequences. The planet of Arrakis showing the dune, the desert. They made good use of this desert that they were filming in. And, of course, the worms of Dune are back. And they are big-ass fucking worms.
Yes, yes. You know, the biggest one is reported to be as long as 400 meters. What's that? That's 4, New York City blocks.
And this is not a con, but it's just a funny thing I noticed. The original, they kind of opened up like this, 3 ways. This one, it just looks like a... When I saw what the worms' mouths look like, their openings, I couldn't help but think, it looks like a sphincter made of twine. Did you see that at all?
No, that image did not cross my mind. However, the way they did it was they showed them how huge around it was because it would come up underneath what they're doing and just open up their mouth, and a bunch of sand along with what they wanted to consume would just fall down into this big hole that was the worm mouth.
Very well done sequence, particularly when that one person just tapped to take out the bad guys.
Yes, yes.
As for the other cast members, we do have the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, I guess you call him now. He's played here by Stellan Skarsgård, who you might know as the serial killer from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American version. And I'm a little mixed on the Baron here. I mean, maybe we'll get more of him in the second film, but I kind of feel like we didn't get enough of the character here. I mean, he's supposed to be like one of the major villains, and my thought is Skarsgård, he is great at playing a scary motherfucker, and he does have a very intimidating presence just with the way he speaks. But I don't know, it would have been nice if we saw a little more of him, and as over the top as people think Kenneth McMillan went with his version, he was very memorable. Although, I am happy to say, the fat man still flies.
Or at least floats. I'm not sure he's flying, but he moves along in the air.
Well, he was up on the ceiling. I think that counts.
That counts.
And can't really say much about Dave Bautista as Raban, the nephew.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of for Dave Bautista, that's kind of a step down on a character to play. But it is an evil. This is a villain he's playing. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah, and lastly, Avia Bardem and Zendaya. Zendaya, who is best known for playing MJ in the new Spider-Man, she's the new Chani, and I don't think the character was wasted. It's clear they're building her up. Like, again, there's a lot of good mystery to her, and I'm
There'll
looking,
be more of her in
yeah,
part deux.
and I'm hoping they do it well with her.
Mm-hmm.
Javier Bardem as Stilgar, the leader of the Fremen. He had a good, intense personality. You'd know him best as Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, and somebody who plays one of the most evil characters in that movie is looking kind of balanced and real leader here. So
I thought the scene where he meets the Duke, that could have been real stupid, but it was funny. Like, at first you think he's insulting, then they're like, no, spitting is,
yeah, okay, now that's giving something away. But there is spitting involved, but it comes out real nice.
And gotta give a huge shout out to the music score by Hans Zimmer. And the music in this film I thought was one of the strongest parts. Like, it went from being kind of a score to almost being like it felt like a deadly machine coming to life at times.
Yeah, it was very effective, very effective. And so to write the score is one thing, to get an orchestra to do that, and then to edit that properly into the sequence. That was a really well done.
And during the end credits, I heard his classic that fans of Batman and Superman have probably come to expect from him. It was good. I thought it did not disappoint. I've seen only a few movies in the theater this year so far. Some of them delayed a whole year because of the pandemic, and this is one that definitely lived up to the extra hype that the delay caused. I can't say for sure that I prefer this new version of Dune over the original. Maybe when we get the second film, I'll make up my mind. I think it's very good, but as of right now, with just this one film, I think my preferred film to go back to would still be the '84 version.
Yeah, I'll say this: I like the things that they did in the '84 version as well. Now, it could be because they're taking longer time to tell the story. This part one told the story for me much better. Put it together in sequence, what was happening in the big picture and the small picture, all at the same time. And it could be simply that they are able to, with the time frame allowed, be able to develop that more. But it is, to me, it's better because it does a better job of telling the story.
I get you. And I think,
Plus it has Aquaman.
yeah, fighting to the very end. And last thing I'll say, good note to go out on, I think.
A good fighter, yes. Go ahead.
A good note to go out on is the still suits, the protective things they wear. They're not as blocky in this version, like in the '84 film. Mm-hmm. They're closer to the book, where it's kind of a shimmy whenever they're touched. Mm-hmm. And I thought those were well done, although I got a question. It's just the reviewer and me coming out. Whenever they fight, they say if you go in slow, you can penetrate the
shield.
Yeah, I'm questioning, who made these things so that somebody could kill them with a slow stab? That seems like a design flaw, almost.
Well, I'm sure they have a technical team working on that. The Fremen.
Well, this has been our Fresh Thoughts review. Hope it was enjoyable. I know we're a little late on getting to talk about this movie, but what can you do?
If you like epic adventure, you should see this.
From the director of Blade Runner 2049, and co-written by him, and the writers of Prometheus and Forrest Gump.
There you go.
Yeah, I looked it up. The guy who wrote Forrest Gump co-wrote this.
Well, that was kind of an epic adventure as well, but on a different scale.